Well, that's another very busy day over with. We've done a mixture of things today. A bit of site maintenance, but today has been about weeding, but not actually digging the weeds up. We've got a very long path right down the centre of this site, and it's all gravelled, but the weeds do grow through it. As you can see, wind's back up a little bit too. So basically, you've got to walk the full length of that with a pump spray and just spray it with weed killer. At least that way you can keep those weeds down. We don't want them getting old. And the other thing that we've been doing is feeding as plants, and there's a very good reason for that, which I'll show you a little later on. But we're starting to get to a point now where they're producing fruit, so I tend to feed them once a week at that stage. They're going to need all nutrients they can get. Before this gets blown over, I'm just going to move it. I wanted to set up some herbs so we can keep those going through autumn and winter hopefully, but I went to Garden Centre and for a pot of parsley, a lot smaller than this one, it was around £3. But then we had to do some shopping and I went to Tesco's, and they've got loads of pots like this with herbs in. This one's curly parsley, but they've also got rosemary, thyme and mint. I got this one because this was reduced. The £1.50 normally, which is a lot less than Garden Centre, but this was reduced to £1. So I got this one, and then I'm going to get quite a few more and set up a little herb garden. It's something we've not had before. We did parsley last year and we grew it from a plant smaller than this and it became huge. So the idea is to buy these pre-grown plants at reduced prices, and then we just need to pot them on. So I'm going to move it into a 2 litre. That's a lot more room than it's used to, and we're going to add feed to it as well, because these plants are in these pots for a long time. There'll be no nutrition left in there whatsoever. And as always, they get quite root bound. So we're going to give this plant a new lease of life, and this is going to be the first of many. So making a mess at table and roughing up the roots on this one. I'm just popping it in there, but I'm going to push it a little bit deeper, not too much. I want this plant to be able to support itself, but sometimes they're not watered properly, they run out of nutrients and they'll just start to sag. So we're going to give it an helping hand, and then I'm just going to backfill to give it some support. I'm just going to bunch them all together while I fill in around this plant, and we'll centre it as we're doing it as well. There's a few that are a bit long, so they are getting taken away. So we'll fill in this container right to the top, and then we're going to compress it down a little as well. You can see that I'm burying part of this plant. That's not going to hurt it, it's going to help it. So getting it to that level and then forcing that compost down so we've got a bit of clearance for watering, and then we can straighten it up a little bit. And again, a long stem just there and there. I'm just removing those. It's got plenty of fresh growth, so it's going to put more energy into that new growth now and make a plant that's going to thrive a lot better. And every time I turn it round, I find another one, and a couple of yellowing ones on bottom as well. So a bit of extra compost for that, and I think at that we're not far off. And I've got some feed already made up, so we'll give this plant a good feed as well. And then we've got a £1 shop bought pot of parsley that will grow really big, all ready to go. And because it's a bit windy today, I'm going to pop this right back. We've roughed those roots up as well, so we don't want to be put it in direct sunlight. But for now, that's that plant set up. So I'll pop it right back, This is why they make these holes in these tables, so I can just sweep it through. That's not what they make them for. It's for an umbrella. That's just me being lazy. That compost also had a little bit of fish blood and bone mixed in with it. I don't think I've shown you that part, but we'll add liquid feed to it as well, at the same time watering this plant, and it's good to go. So I'll pop that round back out at the sun, and then I'll show you what this tub's for. We have been harvesting quite a bit over the last few weeks, but today we've got something different. We have had one so far, but today, because of this sunshine, all of a sudden it looks like we've got quite a few more. And although we've got some ripe strawberries, once again, it's not these, but while I see them, I have to take them. This is what we're looking at today, ripe cherry tomatoes. So we're taking off as many as we can. Been waiting for what seems forever to get some cherry tomatoes, and now they're finally on way. There's also some on this plant as well. And there is one thing that I will do as well. This one is not quite ripe, but it's still pulling energy out of that plant, and we've got quite a few more that are trying to grow. So to help that plant out and that new fruit, we can take them off like this, and then we can just let those ripen on a kitchen windowsill, and they won't take long at all. So because everything's so late in here, that's why I'm doing that. And I've spied a couple more. Brilliant stuff. Get those off. And another almost ripe one. There's also a couple on this plant. It's all or nothing this year. And another strawberry. The strawberries have been brilliant this year. We've also got loads on these tumbling toms, but they're still green. We're going to have to bide us time with those. But we've got a plant there that we made into a dwarf one. And this is now starting to produce some good sized tomatoes. They've only grown that tall because we put them in a little container and took some side shoots away, but they're still full of flower, so we're going to get a lot of tomatoes. And this one's got quite a lot down there. We've also got a couple of blueberries that's ready to go as well. A nice size there. There's a couple, so that one's a bit smaller, but I'm going to take it anyway, because once again we've got loads of blueberries on this plant. So we want things to ripen as fast as possible. Down there is another. Brilliant. Just encouraging anything that's quite late in season to ripen that fruit a little bit quicker. That's one of those tomato plants that we really cut back, and as you can see, we're now starting to get quite a lot of tomatoes growing, plus more top growth and lots more flowers. And we've got a nice big cluster just there. Not a huge size so far, but that one is also trying to ripen. So not the biggest harvest in the world, but we are so grateful for it. A nice bunch of cherry tomatoes, a few strawberries and some blueberries. That makes it all worthwhile, and as we get to next week, it looks like we've got a lot of sun heading this way. Mid-70s, full sun for over a week, so these tomatoes are going to ripen even quicker, and we'll soon be filling tubs and bigger ones in no time. And we've potted on that shop bought parsley, and we're definitely going to get a few more of those and start a good collection of herbs. Maybe I'll buy another planter and we'll just have as own herb garden. But because a lot of these plants are perennials, we can just buy them and we can overwinter them, and they'll be bigger and better next year. So that is the plan. And apart from those tomatoes, you might remember that quite recently we transferred some small lettuces into a 10 litre pot. There wasn't huge plants, but they were a good size and they were very healthy, so we thought we'd put 3 in a 10 litre pot and see how they got on. And I'd say they're getting on quite fine. That's those 3 plants now. 3 lettuce in a 10 litre container. One of them is a different variety to the other. It's got like red veins in the leaves, and then these ones are Webb's Wonder. But it's amazing just how much these have grown in a short space of time in a very small container. They've done really well. So things are still going great. I'm still busy every single day with one thing or another. But if you've got plants that are starting to fruit, then give them some extra feed. If you see tomatoes that are nearly ripe, take them off and allow the others to grow on and also start to ripen. That way you're going to get a bigger harvest in the long run. Anyway, I'm going to head back indoors now because it's still windy and it's quite irritating. We'll get those popped in the fridge and then we'll look forward to his next harvest, which is definitely going to be in a very short space of time with this weather that's on its way. And if you want to see what we do get, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you next time. Take care.